I know you just pulled up to the bar, but we closed.
Come on, man. You gotta be able to give me a shot, man. Come on.
You look like you need a drink, man, but I hate to tell you this, man. We about to close.
So you mean to tell me all these people out here, they got drinks and they got shots, but I can't get nothing. The bar closed that soon?
Okay, man. I don't know what else to say. I got this shorty half my age at the crib, and I'm trying to get to it. But last call was 10 minutes ago.
You know what? It's alright. Don't even worry about it.
All right. Tell you what. I'm gonna get you one drink, cause it look like you need
one drink. I can do one drink. I can do one drink, cause I really yeah.
Hey man, anything, man. Look like you got a lot on your mind and you need a friend right now. Pour it on me. Ain't no last calls here.
Bar Talk with Jay.
Yes, welcome to Bar Talk with Jay.
Welcome.
One of the things I'm gonna bring us up to date with is the man Craftmatic and the things that he's doing. Book coming. You got marvelous things that I like that. I got that from Trump. Marvelous things. There were great things coming in America when it comes to Craftmatic. Craft, tell us more about what you got going on.
Well, bro, I'm trying to summarize all of my life's work in one book. And maybe never have to write another book, but I got half a dozen in my mind. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to write a book that would help people develop themselves in the quiet of their own home, in the quiet of their own state.
I need that.
And don't we all, right?
Yes.
Don't we all? Because, when we have a problem, when we have an issue, concern, whatever it happens to be, pain or struggle, there oftentimes is no outlet, right? If you're not taking it to the Lord, you're not going to talk to a friend, you're not trying to, next thing you know, you're reading a book or you're trying to get some information or watch a video or something. It just seems like there's nowhere really focusing on developing yourself. And so we've created some tools and some resources that I think just are going to be strongholds in helping people become their greatest. And ultimately, it's about mindset. Our thoughts create our reality. Everything is about how you think. Everything you're experiencing is the result of some form of thinking. Right? So your thoughts manifest into your beliefs, they manifest into your actions, they manifest into your attitudes, they manifest into your day-to-day, everything.
So it goes back to you.
It all comes back to you. And so what you have issues with, what you have concerns with, what you have a problem with, even though you created it, you can fix it. With just as much power as you created it, you have just as much power to fix it. Okay. But it's going to take you going back a different direction. And that's what we haven't learned. We haven't learned how to overcome our own purpose, how to kind of get out of our own way. Mm-hmm. So Mindcraft is here really to just help people have a stronger, more effective, healthy mindset to life. Right. When you think about mental health, we always think about sick people. We always think about people who are in trouble, maybe can't even get life done on their own. Right. But I want to change the definition of mental health to a positive outlook on life, a healthy outlook on life. And that's for all the hardworking people in America, right? All the single moms, all the politicians, all the police officers and firemen, all your neighbors. Everybody needs some inspiration. An outlet. They need an outlet. And I don't think most people really have an outlet. That's part of the issue. So I'm hoping that Mindcraft is going to be able to just open some doors for people. It's my personal passion. I'm just always interested in how we can help people do more, achieve more in life, achieve more of their own potential. It just means a lot to me. It's part of my walk. It's part of what breaks my heart to see people's potential spilled on the side of the road. You know they have much better. You know they can achieve greatness. You know they should have been in the NBA. You know they should have got a college scholarship. You know they could have got better grades. But there's something inside holding them back. And that's my pain, is seeing that and trying to find a solution and some answers for it. So that's what Mindcraft is all about. That's what I'm spending my life's journey on. It is my personal purpose and mission to help humanity become its greatest possibility. And we're gonna do it until the wheels fall off.
Hey, I love it.
I hope you
Love
get a
it.
humanitarian award.
Oh, okay,
I hope
okay.
so too. I hope so too.
Speaking into existence.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Kind of a way to introduce ourselves, shall we?
Yep.
Come on.
This is Bar Talk with Jay. My name is Crab Matt. This is my boy
In
Smooth
the
Jay,
building.
and we have Miss Ursula in the building with us.
Yay.
And we want to thank you folks for being here with us tonight.
Yes,
Again, it's
yes.
just our opportunities to be leaders in our own community. Someone needs to speak out
Yes.
on certain issues, and we have decided to do so. And we're so grateful that you are a part of our team and that you continue to come back and join us. Tonight, we're going to be talking about why we can't just all get along.
No.
What's man's name? Rodney?
David.
No, that Dave Chappelle.
Oh,
The man that got whooped, got beat up. Rodney.
I can't think of that right now to say my
He
life.
got beat by the police officers.
Oh,
Rodney
King.
Rodney King.
Rodney King. He said, "Can't we all just get along?"
I mean, the way they beat them, nope.
Yeah. That is what we are after in this show. We're going to try to break down perhaps some of the strongholds in relationships and things that happen between couples that sometimes just end up incongruent. We just always see they never seem to come together on these things. Let's see if we can add some value, at least pull the puzzle apart enough so that we can understand it better for ourselves and maybe improve our own relationships. Shall we?
Very interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to pray over this one.
Yeah. Now, we always start the show off with a prayer. Let me hit that thing. I'm not sure if it's
Oh, okay. Good.
So we always start the show off with a prayer, and I'm going to pray over tonight's topic, which is why we can't just get along. Why we just can't get along. Let's hand it over to the Lord. Heavenly Father, we come into your presence now with our heads bowed and our hearts humbled.
Yes.
Just thanking you for your awesome grace and mercy, for your power, for your love, your strength, for your direction and guidance in our lives. We ask, Heavenly Father, tonight that you would help us understand relationships better. We're asking the question tonight, Lord, why we can't just get along. What are the hindrances? What are the strongholds? What are the limitations to having a great relationship? And help us to bring a dialogue here today, Lord, that will bring some real wisdom and understanding to all of our personal and interpersonal lives. We don't want to just have a regular conversation, Lord. We want to talk about something that's going to change us for tomorrow, that's going to change us for tonight, that's going to improve our ability to experience love, happiness, and joy. We ask, Lord, that you would be here in this show, speak your good and perfect word. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 I need you to get that prayer out.
Why we
What's
can't
coming up
just
next?
get
Lord have
along.
mercy. You know why?
Miss Ursula, I want you to start us out.
Okay.
What's the issue? Why can't we just get along? What is up with men? Men are from Mars and women are from Venus.
Why I feel like I get hit by a train all the dang time?
Yeah, when I'm trying to be
Men are
earnest,
controlling.
sincerely. Huh?
Men are controlling.
Okay.
Wait a minute. No, she ain't gonna
That's okay. She's telling her perspective. Right. Okay.
From a woman's perspective, it doesn't. You guys are very controlling and dictative.
Okay.
On sometimes auspicious, tedious, some average, just basic. It get blown out of proportion. Just unnecessarily. It could be from routine stuff like being late, taking care of home, bringing in income, the way you dress,
Okay.
how you speak, how you cook. So
Okay.
I just feel like men can control, can be a little controlling and insensitive. So women are tired because we're required to do it all and just know how to get it done instead of getting support. So oftentimes we're tired, frustrated, and have no outlet. So with that, it just doesn't give you the ability to get along. It's just because you're not being heard.
Yeah, because the women feel not heard.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
What if men are not controlling?
Okay.
You're just experiencing the black and white of their spirit. They're not red and green and orange and blue. They just happen to be matter of fact. We're just less emotional. What if that's what you're experiencing rather than controlling?
then it
See,
should be-
controlling has to be received, right?
but it has to be disseminated too, right?
It has to be received. Like, just because I say no, I don't know, that's not what I want you to do. It's not controlling unless you do what I say do. I'm just putting down my 2 cents. It would be controlling if I said, no, this is what you're gonna do, and this is how you're gonna do it. That's controlling. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about somebody who says, no, this is my opinion, this is the way I think we ought to do it. I'm not sure that that's controlling. I think, and see, that's what this issue is all about, right? Why we can't just get along. Because what's really happening under the surface is men or women, people are expressing their true selves. And in a lot of cases, the true selves are not wanting to be accepted. The true self, the true answer I gave you, the true response I gave you, it's too tough. The true response, the response I gave from my head and my heart, the response I wanted to give was judged, right? Now, we always have to determine 2 things, and I've learned this the hard way, right? That there is what I say,
Right.
and then there is how I say it.
Correct.
Men oftentimes get in trouble about how I
Yes.
say it. Okay?
Both.
Both, right? So we almost can't win that race
Oh, wait a minute.
because it's because if I'm discussing an issue that's important to us, the facts are way more important than my delivery. Delivery counts. I'm not saying it can't be delivered different, but if you're talking to me about something that I'm really passionate about, I have no room. I have no room for nonsense. I have no room for listening to something that's going to get you hurt, something that's going to get you taken advantage of, something that I keep saying over and over and over and over, and yet I'm still being contested about it. And now you want me to be patient on the 5th or 6th time. I'm not going to be patient. I'm going to say it black and white, and I'm not really going to be concerned how it's received. Now, here's the interesting part. I can say something to my coworker or my boy, and I can say the exact same thing to my lady, and they get totally misconceived. They get totally misconceived, perceived. One is, you don't want to listen to me. You're controlling. The other one, guys talking to guys. My boss said, "Get your shit done," right? But if my boss said that to the lady, he'd be like, "Oh, she's just being disrespectful and rude." But that's not what it is. He was coming across because he had 2 seconds to send a message that had to be done in the 2 weeks that he's not going to be here. So he had to say it in a way, and my boss does it all the time. My boss actually does it a lot. He'll hold a meeting over the simplest, most stupid, nonsensical stuff, right? And he'll be yelling and kind of getting real passionate. He doesn't yell, but he's passionate about it, right? But what he's saying is, if this shit happens again, I can't protect you. Right? So the narrative in every conversation comes down to the facts and the delivery, and I think men oftentimes get misunderstood in their delivery because it is kind of a man's world, and so delivering soft messages, we are good at that. Maybe
No.
a lot of men are not good at that, right? A lot of men are not. A lot of men are not poised. Maybe they've never had to tone down, right? They got good heart, but their delivery and the message seems to be taken awry, right? And I think that's what happens so often. We actually subtitled this show "Control versus Constructive," okay? And since it was Miss Ursula's title, I'm gonna let her kind of dive into the 2. But can you share some insight on the difference between control and constructive? And then we want to hear from you, Jay.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I talk too much. Go ahead. Feel free.
So I feel like your example of your manager, to me, it's know your audience. So you can't deliver something that you have not really tested or talked it out first, because it can be misconstrued. You want everybody to get it, not just certain people, because at the end, then those people will do what was asked, others will be left out. Why? Because you didn't take the time to really vet your information and be transparent to everybody. So as a leader, you
Maybe.
can't.
I don't have to explain to you why I need this done. I need this done. I need, if, for example, when the bill comes in, honey, I need to know today, not the day that it's due. And so if I'm always knowing the day that it's, if I'm always knowing on the day that it's due rather than the day that it comes in, it's almost like I can explain that to you, but sometimes the explanation, it helps things, but it also takes time. And sometimes the explanation has been said multiple times. I can remember countless numbers of times I have already explained, son, why I need you not to put your skateboard at the bottom of the steps. I done said it 1,000 times. I don't need to explain it no more. I need to put it firm enough for you to just do it. And raising kids, sometimes I'm gonna put that stamp on there just because I need that stamp on there, right? So you have to be controlling sometimes to be constructive. I think it's imperative because people don't listen.
Do you think control is the goal, or is it just being concise? I just need to be brief and concise and very transparent. That way you will receive it better, because it's all about delivery. So you had given two different scenarios, but to touch on your audience, if I'm talking to a room full of adults, again, you have to come back and say to yourself, how would I receive something when I'm trying to deliver something and I'm passionate? Because when you're passionate means raise your voice. Okay, so regardless of where you are mentally, what I'm saying, in your delivery, you still have to be, the goal is to get your message, delivered in a respectful and a beneficial and efficient way as a manager and as a leader. But in regards to when you're home, your home life and your spouse, communication is always key. If that doesn't go awry, then you will never have to worry about if the bill was due today, because you would have known that I had your back and I paid it, because we would already had that. Now, needless to say, you will have conversations where you don't get along, or you will kind of miss the mark, but you don't get to come at me or be attackish with your delivery or your comment.
Question. If there's an issue,
Right.
I talk to you about it.
Correct.
There's an issue. You talk to me about it.
Correct.
Let's go third party on me. You talk to me about it. I didn't fix it. You talk to me about it again. I still didn't fix it. Maybe there's a third. Maybe there's a fourth. Maybe there's a fifth.
I doubt it.
At what point is it okay to become passionate?
There is no point becoming passionate about something that someone probably couldn't get it done. So you have to look at it from a,
We're not
there's no
going that
such-
route. We're not going that route.
so again, a little controlling.
We're not. No, because
Because
that's
we can't.
real life. You can't go in front of anybody and they tell you something 3, 4, 5 times and you expect to be received the same way. It doesn't happen. Not my child going into the classroom, not my, not me going to wherever. You at a certain point, the boss is going to be like, I done told you about this, now I got to write you up. Everybody goes to a certain point. So the point is if I'm going to be patient, how long should I be patient before at a certain point you're going to realize that what I've done 4 or 5 times is not working?
Okay, well, did you teach it? If you want me to understand where you are, and as a leader, you
I
have
did.
to make sure. Okay, so you're saying commenting and teaching are two different things.
Perhaps. I think it's semantics. I think the message coming across in commenting or teaching, the message coming across is what is to be delivered. It's the learning point, right? And the learning point is maybe this gets on my nerves. The learning point is you're going to be late on the bill. We're going to be, whatever those facts happen to be. But what I'm talking about It's if you have to communicate the same thing over and over and over. You realize, and here's what my boss realized. He realizes that the third, fourth, fifth time that he said it, they still didn't get it done. So when is it okay to be passionate?
It's still not okay because you can then go ahead and to your point. Your point is it didn't get done, and this is the consequence.
So
Why do you have to extend yourself even further in the conversation? If
Can I have some fun right now?
I mean,
Because I
sure,
like
Jack.
this. I
Absolutely.
like this.
We want to hear from
I'm right in the midst of this, and I'm having so much great intel coming in because I really hear you guys in a way that relationships go this way. Again, as y'all just talking, I'm just looking and it's like, how can you be effective across the board? One on my deliverance, I got to have eye contact because when I'm delivering something to multiple people, I need to get feedback from each and every one of them. Okay, you can't expect everybody to catch things the same.
feedback.
So you're trying to look and get feedback so you can understand if they're paying attention, they're not paying attention, who's getting it, who over there rah-rahing you, and who's over there looking like I'm lost. Because I have to control my audience.
Right.
Know your audience and also control your audience because you're delivering a message. Now, 101, same thing. My biggest issue with relationships and us communicating to each other is why we have to fight one another. If you know you ask me and I'm not doing it, why am I not doing it?
correct.
And this is where we're starting to get man versus woman or aggressive against complacent. And that's where it gets really us, but we need to back away and realize we're trying to be with one another.
Mhm.
We've been taught and trained so much push away from than work with. Think about it. When you wasn't born with nobody. It was just you. You had to deal with your brother and sister later on, but you learned you. And now you expect somebody just to know you in your ways. Now he has to take time to know you, just like you got to take time to know him.
Right.
But the disadvantage come from is when I'm fed up, we act different.
But you don't have to get to that point, Jay. If you
I
just
mean, we don't, but we tend to. Everybody has trigger points.
I think
you
it's
have a breaking point, but
Trigger.
as far as triggers,
So I
you
mean,
can see that.
it's like how many times you gonna let an employee be late?
Okay, so that's different
No,
because it's policy. There are guidelines that are already stipulated prior to you coming. So
okay.
I didn't write you up. You wrote you up
Oh, yeah.
because
Okay.
you didn't follow.
And so the answer here is the write-up.
But do I have to get?
But if you're in a situation where you can't write somebody up, what do? Do you give up? Do you stop asking? Do you just say it's not gonna happen? It's not gonna ever happen. You're like, I'm be like, okay, you stop talking about it. Let's get to a place where you are frustrated, because I'm not hearing any frustration in you. Get to a place where somebody's doing something that frustrates you. When do you start raising your voice? And you do often, Miss Ursula, because I know you very well. I hear your voice all the time. So let's get to a conversation where when your vendors are not getting the job done, how do you respond when you done said it 3, 4, 5 times? This is the problem. Why can't we just get along? Because Jay said it, there's a reason why they are not doing it. Either they're trying to be cheap, they're trying to be lazy, they're trying to avoid the rules, they're trying to rush through it, they don't want to take time, they think you didn't pay attention. There's a lot of reasons, right?
Right.
But at a certain point, whatever their reasons are, don't make no difference no more. I done paid you, I want my shit done.
Yes.
Or you're fired, right? Because you can't write them up, right? So the point here is that in all of our relationships, why can't we get along, right? There's relationships with our parents and our mothers and our kids. There's relationships with our employers. There's relationships with our neighbors. Hey, I don't want you cutting my bush down. That's a good bush. You know, I don't want you killing my grass with your nonsense or whatever. Okay, did we talk about this 3 years ago? Now what do you do? What do you do at that point? Because at a certain point, you're going to have to decide that constructiveness is not working. You're going to have to control the situation. So how do you control it?
You're not gonna like my answer.
I mean, it's your answer. It's your answer.
Your
You're not
answer will be
judging.
your answer, but I'm having some fun before you give your answer.
Go ahead.
To not diffuse, but I always go, no, I definitely want to hear what you got to say. Definitely. But I like to say a lot of times when people go through a lot of things, triggers happen. And I'm going to tell you about a trigger. You allow certain people to do certain things other ones you won't. And the person that's closest to you is a different trigger. if somebody come to you and say you don't handle business right, you gonna look at them and be like, okay, you want to know why? Okay, you go home and your man tell you don't know how to handle business right. Now you can be more offensive because wait a minute, we are a team. That person that came with you, I can care less about. But that person that loves me, I look at it and I listen to it very carefully because it's a different trigger.
Yeah.
And that trigger gonna get a response different than anybody else gonna get it. And
But they shouldn't.
no, it shouldn't. But I'm telling you,
So
people that's close to you is different. Just like your child, your mother, anybody that's close to you, it's a different kind of trigger compared to a person that you have no relationship with at all.
That is true.
that's true, but is it effective? No. At 99.9% of the time, it doesn't solve anything. So the whole point is to get it solved, to get a resolve, right? So my comment would be to breathe, to step back.
Okay.
And oftentimes when I do have conversations with anyone that's close to me and I'm venting, I'm doing just that. I'm not doing it to that person because it allows you to get that anger out, because it's misplaced frustration that you shouldn't be using on anybody anyway, because again, it doesn't get you anywhere.
Right.
So the conversation that I would have to someone that I trust, love, and respect to hear their response, oftentimes they're also helping me to digress. So I say again, there is no place for that. Because I can have a whole conversation with my vendor and get a lot more done. You know, if he knows, hey, she gave me grace. You know, I gave you grace. Hey, she gave me grace. She wrote me up. She counseled me. And then she gave me my second progressive write-up, because there are steps in writing up someone, right? And before you walk them out the door. So again, there's progressive steps that you take as a single person going into a relationship. It's not going to always be a win-win. Someone has to just take a step back, right?
So give me an example where you were in a relationship and somebody wasn't complying with your needs, your will, what you needed, what you wanted. Give me a scenario, and how did you respond? How long did it take you to respond? Give me some feel for what you experienced.
So I was married, and I felt like, and I'm gonna give you a thin and now.
Okay.
So I was married, and I felt like anytime it was something dealing with the children, mom always had to be at school. Mom always had to make sure they got to school, dressed. Dad would do his part, but it would be more of the fun part, like the make sure you get your lunch back, the commenting, nothing constructive, because you leave before mom. You get home before mom, but the kids come with mom. So it was always mom, right? And never once do mom get a break, even down to going to the bathroom. I don't want to be disgusting, but I would get a knock on the door. And I'm like, can you just watch them? I just want to go to the bathroom. I just need a moment. So they don't realize we were not always mom. So give me a minute.
Okay, and when you didn't get that?
When I didn't get that moment, then I would cry. I would cry to myself. And then I would because I knew at an early age what I didn't like in my household: the yelling, the bumping, the pushing, the hitting. I don't have that in my relationships. That's just not in me. I don't play hitting. I don't do any of that, right? So because I received
we all civilized, we get that.
So with that being said, that's what
so you would turn your frustration into
tears.
So when everybody else was frustrating the heck out of you, you cried. Rather than getting them off of me and sharing a constructive message when I'm upset, you turn it in. Let me tell you, I think that happens a lot.
A lot of people.
That happens a lot. That, and just think about this. You're in a relationship with someone who you love and so you like. You don't want to blow it. You don't want to mess them up. You don't want to hurt their feelings. And so what you do is you swallow the pill of all the stress, right? One of the things that I just noted here was deal with your frustrations so that the other person doesn't have to. right? Deal with your frustrations. Now, Miss Ursula example said that she cried, right? That means she would have to go to a space and she would basically feel compromised, bombarded. I got, no self, right? But here's the thing. Another person would be like, didn't I tell y'all ass to leave that door alone? So here's what's going to happen over a very short period of time. It's almost like being a celebrity, and the crowd, as you walk through the crowd's just reaching out, grabbing you, trying to touch you, trying to get that right. And after a couple of people, you're like, okay, that wasn't fun, that wasn't cute, right? After a couple of people, you're gonna be like, hey, anybody who reaches through there, break their arm, right? Because I'm not gonna have myself being violated anymore when I've already shared. We're trying to be in a circle. We're trying not to let people touch them. I'm waving. I'm signing a few autographs here, but no, we got people want to reach through and grab my shirt. Want to reach through and tear out a piece of my clothes, right? And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to be constructive, but the constructiveness is really about controlling my environment, because what I'm doing is not controlling my environment, right? What I'm doing is I'm trying to be patient with people who don't give a shit.
Yeah. How about your
right?
routine?
And me and Jay had a show. You might remember the show. We were talking about what was that? Being mad or upset over other people's stuff, right?
Yes.
Being kind of anxious over.
I was worried about other people's business or something like that.
Yeah. You know what happens is that when you care about people and they hurt, you hurt for them.
Yeah.
But how you gonna be hurting for people who don't give a shit about you?
Thank you.
How you gonna be hurting for people who will still take from you or still see you down or not come to your rescue and da 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 da?
But I'm gonna take your words. You're not really concerned with stuff, because you can always get that stuff. You can't take nothing from me that I can't replace.
Right.
If that's as far as you can go, have it. Take it.
Yeah.
But you won't take my peace. That's something you cannot give me.
Lord
So
save
why
me.
give that?
But
So sometimes crying is an emotion that should be utilized more often, because it stops you from having to go back and apologize or repair something that once your mouth was on it, you can't take that back.
Right.
Yeah. So sometimes the examples that I'm hearing, they're extreme, right? And we don't hit, we don't fight, we don't curse, we don't tear people down. But when you are frustrated with somebody, just as much as you love them, you're still going to express a real thing that's coming out of you, right?
It still becomes that what you just said.
And it's gonna come through the surface, whether you want it. It comes through the surface and you cry. It's the same thing.
What about walk away? Some guys walk away.
That's good, but 5, 6, 7, 10th time, what do you do?
Well, Mr. Stacy, tell me who would do something 5 or 6 or 7 times?
People do that. You don't get it? Like people, if you can ask, let's go to a work environment, right? A work environment, because we're all held accountable by policy, right? But if you're late 3 or 4 times, yeah, you write yourself up, but I don't really want to write you up. What I want to do is I want you to understand what I'm saying. And I came to you 2 or 3 times and said, listen, when you're late, it kind of looks bad in front of everybody. But I remember reading a book about leadership, and there were leaders like tyrants, basically. People told a lie. When he said he wanted done by 3 o'clock, he got it done by 3 o'clock. When he said the worst part of that is that some people will not step up to the plate until they have accountability. And sometimes that accountability is to look them in the eye and be like, okay, you're disappointing me right now. You're disappointing me. I'm conveying that to you. You can see the passion on my face, right? And it may come across as mean, or ugly, or whatever, but you have to do something different.
Let me share.
You can't continue to do what you've been doing.
So what would make you remember what I'm trying to convey to you? me just constantly talking to you and just losing my grip, or you see it in writing. Oftentimes, you get people's attention when they can go back and refer or reference, because they can be like, man, she gave me 3 times, and here's the dates where she spoke to me about a situation, an issue, and then by the time you get walked out the door, you already knew you were being let go because it is in writing.
Okay,
Can I
okay.
have
So
some
what's
fun?
a relationship? You can't put it in writing.
No, we were
So
talking
how
about
do you
work.
get rid of somebody?
Hold on. Yeah, they can. Because I dated somebody.
You put it in writing, Jay?
No, she did. You know, they feel like they can't talk to me. They feel like I dominate any conversation, so they wrote down their feelings on paper.
They don't want to hear your
Now,
answer.
No,
well,
that
they wanted
means Jay
me to.
wouldn't let them talk.
Don't let them talk. But you don't have to. People
We're
get
gonna
frustrated if
side
you
with
don't
her. We're gonna side
agree
with her.
with them.
Let's just say that they felt like I wasn't gonna listen, so they put it in words because they felt like they wanted me hear it all. No interruptions, no nothing, and that way you can understand it better. They've made sure they wrote it all out, so I can read it before I ever can comment on it.
Respond, right.
Now, and one of the things that you were saying, if we get into a disagreement and there's something that I feel like you came at me in a fire way, I'll tell you I'll get back with you. And I will. But my whole thing is I don't want to get in my feelings.
Correct.
Because when you come at me, you are yours. And I don't want to respond with mine because we ain't getting nowhere. So I will tell somebody I'm gonna get back with you on something. And I truly try to get back to them. You know why? Because I'm not ignoring you. But I'm not going to give into this emotional bullcrap that is might be faced in front of me, because I feel like some people are luring you in. Not saying you, I'm just saying in general. All this is in general. So again, what y'all hearing here is just in general. I don't know nobody think nobody really foul at each other, but we got to give y'all real content.
Right.
And that way y'all can grow from this. And I say I get back.
Right.
In my mind, I heard what they had to say, and I try not to go back and say things of foulness. I try to answer the questions that I got to. No different when a person wrote the letter.
Mhm.
All right? Because the letter stated all how they felt. I had a chance to read it. I had a chance to think on it before I respond to it, just like I do in business. So when I look at it, instead of me putting barriers and triggers, I put thought to listening to words. Now, what I don't like is sometimes people write things, and now I'd rather hear it because I like to hear it come out you, but now I'm reading it. So and this is getting to know the person. We have to stop just reading and not apply. I'm reading, but I should apply how I know. So I know what these words mean. And I know how she normally acts.
I understand.
And that way, when I come back, I give you a conversation that's understanding and it's not against you.
But you got something to reference.
I do.
But watch this.
Because that's what you gave me. And that's why I said some people would like it that way better than the other way. And some people have good resolve.
And especially people nowadays, they send text messages.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
they send long text messages.
Absolutely.
Them the ones.
And I drive. I
I'm
don't
gonna
want to
tell
read
you.
all that.
I'm gonna tell you, if I'm reading a long text message and you south, I'm like, there's nothing to talk about. Because now what it sounds like you're saying, something just to get a response. It sounds like you're saying something to be hurtful. It doesn't sound like you're really trying to, it sounds like you're trying to maybe get me told, right? And and so now I'm gonna take all of this in, and when I take it all in, there's nothing to do with it. There's nothing. How many of those messages have you gotten? There's nothing to do with it. Like you can. I heard you. I hear you. I understand you. Right. I don't agree. The only thing that's going to happen is an argument or more disagreement, because I'm going to come back and say this part right here, like that's kind of foul. You know what I mean? Like, I don't agree with that. I think that's, I've never done anything derogatory to me, yet you're trying to, the picture you painted here was that I'm a wolf, I'm a bad person, And oftentimes when you say lure in, that's a big part of a lot of times communication, especially when people aren't in agreement, that maybe the triggers, they say something that'll piss you off, that they know it's going to be the thing that you don't like it. You didn't like it last time they said it, but they'll say it, especially during an argument or heated discussion or whatever. And that's a part of the luring. The luring is emotional, right? The luring is that I know how to get you upset. That's the button pushing, right? The reason why people aren't getting along is because people are pushing each other's buttons. We've been doing this show for almost 9 years. People are pushing each other's buttons. I'm not taking man or women's side. I'm talking about the reason relationships are failing and 50% of the marriages are dying. The reason why, because these people are not, they don't know how to communicate in a way that doesn't point the finger or say you're a bad person, you're a man, I'm a good person. All they want to do is get their point across. So the relationship structure of marriages or people, that the relationship structure is breaking down because they're not finding connections.
It's the common ground is missed because somebody wants to be right. And it's limited.
Outstanding.
It is limited thinking. Someone has to take that step back. And that's all I'm saying. You can say something in a way that you don't really feel like I'm trying to be derogative, you know what I'm saying, or negative. But if I don't get it out, at some point, it is going to go south because I now every little thing about you get on my nerve, right? When you
especially when you didn't say something
initially,
now you realize.
But you don't always have to say it in your feelings. You can say it in such a way you can get that part out, right? And then you can come back and say, hey, Jay, I had a problem with you writing me up. Because I left late yesterday and I felt like when I called you, I told you, hey, I'm going to stop and get some coffee. And would you like a cup? Because I worked for you late yesterday. I thought I could have came in late. And there is no, you don't get to choose your schedule. You can ask me if that's okay, but people always assume just because they feel like, oh, we're good, we're cool. And, I can do this. I can go get my nails done on the clock. No. Right. You have to keep a certain type of professionalism at all times. And in relationships, you have to keep the communication going because if not, there'll be limited thinking. And then with the limited thinking, everybody feels like they're misunderstood and not heard. And before long, there's nothing you can say to me on that topic because I feel like it's a closed situation, because I feel like I'm right and that's it, that's all. And nothing gets resolved.
And I like that because one of the things I heard is one of the words you said earlier, you said peace. And when I read letters that somebody gives me about how they feel about me, I'm also reading into peace. Okay, these are the things that help them understand me and me understand them in a peaceful manner. If you write me something that's way left of center, then you are trying to take away from something I'm not trying to do.
Right.
If you talk to me in a certain way, I always stop people. And it's just like how y'all said, I don't play fight, I don't do anything. All right. One of the reasons why you start one way and people take it way to the left, that's because of personal experience. I experienced enough stuff and I've seen it where I don't want to play with it. All right. And that's just simple. Right. It's called boundaries. Right. Everybody need to set them. Everybody need to understand them. And then respectful when somebody give me a letter and I feel like you're going way past my boundaries. You're trying to say some stuff slickly or whatever. Now you're trying to take my peace. Mm-hmm. But if I'm able to read that I'm seeing that you're giving me peace and you're saying things that hurt you because I'm taking your peace, I can align and I can have a better conversation with you.
Correct.
Because then I care enough for what you're saying to resolve it in a way that's not combative.
But what if you can't resolve it, Jay? What if it's something you can't?
There's going to be times when I can't, and there's going to be a couple of times I'm not going to do like I'm not the person to cry. I'm going to give you sometimes I walked away. And no matter how well it might have been, I walked away from my own sanity. I noticed it wasn't going nowhere near where I thought it was compared to what I was seeing it as.
Let me give you a better one.
And I was the person that I actually felt like I was starting to feel the toxicity because I know about it and I don't like it. But they're making me where I'm getting into my emotions. And I'm speaking out emotions and I'm not fact-finding. I'm a factual guy. I don't want to get my feelings, but you want to keep throwing yours into play. So now I'm starting to feel like I got to throw mine.
Yeah.
That's a back and forth that we should never have. That's who I've been with and the things I went. God put me through to get healed. Not her. Not for her to have to keep hearing about my hurt, my pain, because you throwing yours at me.
Right.
So now I'm not speaking of peace. I'm speaking from hurt.
Right.
And hurt people hurt people.
Right.
I'm back to a hurt status. That's not healed. That you just let me know I got an open wound. And I just opened it up further. And
Right.
now it is combative.
Right.
And that's where I feel like a lot of times.
But it was
we go-
combative then.
It was, but I didn't want
It
to
was
say it.
disagreement.
Right. And I felt
Not
like I could
necessarily
control.
combative. It don't be combative until we start mashing attacking one another.
Yeah.
And one
Just
of the
because
things
you
Jay
ain't never
said
went
that
through that don't mean nothing.
I think that was really important in this conversation, particularly for our audiences, is why we can't just all get along. Some people got slick mouths, and that damages so much of the facts, so much of the data, so much of the real truth, because you pop off at the mouth. Now I cannot effectively communicate with you, right? Because I'm trying to convey it in a nice way. I'm trying to even the fifth or sixth time, I'm trying to convey it so that it doesn't bite, so that it doesn't hurt. So I'm not saying, didn't I already tell you? I'm not doing that. But yet, you coming at me with a slick mouth. And so now what you want me to do with that, right?
Walk away.
And yeah, listen, you walk away, but there's only so many more times that you're going to walk away till you're going to have to change something. You're going to literally, nobody is going to continue to walk into the same web over and over and over. After a while, you're going to do one or two things. You're going to reach a place where you finally end up voicing it, and it's not going to sound pretty, and it's not going to sound nice, but you're going to get it out. Or you're going to turn that energy within and say, I quit.
That's what I said. Walk away. Because sometimes
when I heard you say that, I heard just walk away from the argument. I'm talking about you're
fired.
fired.
Walk away.
You are fired out.
No.
Good.
I have a
Yeah.
for goodbye.
Yeah.
Because you will not pull me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I have had situations where I felt like you have to weigh the odds to see whether or not you can deal with that permanently. And if it's something that you're showing me signs that you can't deal with, something as meager as, being able to communicate over something that's, I consider, a little small. When we get into the big stuff, So you already saying, I can't, this is how I handle stuff. So let me just say, it's been a good deal.
It's good.
We
It's
see
been a
what I
chance to
see.
show. Right.
Yep. And listen, I have gracefully fired several people from my life, and I never looked over my shoulder. I never looked back. And
Hey, y'all don't leave me out. I'm right there too.
Yeah. And listen, I think that is the nature
Staying
of
healthy.
progress, right? That's the
Yes.
nature of keeping positive, staying out of negativity. People, just like fruit, go bad. And when you're never going to eat a rotten peach, rotten strawberry, you don't eat rotten fruit. You get rid of it, right? You fire it. And one of the things we talked about in the last show is that the trash has to be taken out. And we know people, their entire lives are being miserable because they're trying to get along with somebody who can't be gotten along with.
Because they don't want help.
Maybe they don't want help. Maybe they just are misaligned and they're trying to keep it working because it's right. Or maybe they, there's many different reasons why, why the person
People
wouldn't listen.
say build a house for one, but they invite people in and tell you don't touch stuff.
Right.
Like, don't move that, don't move.
Right.
So you be
I
like,
like
well,
that.
this is your cave.
Right.
Nobody's coming into this cave that you built for one.
Right.
So unless you're planning on compromising, you don't really want a relationship. And for that reason, I'm out.
And I love that analogy. And if I had to throw one, because y'all mentioned peaches, a lot of times you don't know how rotten it is until you bite into it.
Correct.
So just
And
understand.
listen, sometimes they
You
can
do.
be ugly.
And once you get in it and you see
Oh
it,
my
that's
God.
when you have to make these decisions. And again, you bit that peach because it looked good. Everything that looked good ain't good. And that's what I'm saying within people. I'm not quick to throw away a peach because I bit into a bad one. Because
Correct.
again, I didn't take the time to realize what I was eating, and I've been into and it was a bad one. So now all of a sudden, all peaches are bad. This is the label that people give people,
That's why people
and that's
don't
why
get
we
healed.
need to get healed because we keep biting into stuff and you're judging.
Right.
Just understand, you the one keep doing it,
But that's because they don't give themselves time to heal.
and I agree.
You have to step back and start really digesting or digressing and getting some real help so you don't transfer
And
that
that's
stuff into
why
another
we're
relationship.
doing what we're doing because we're just trying to give people an outlet.
Yeah.
Right.
Just like you said, sometimes I just want to. I want to be an outlet. I don't want to be a person that's giving you my
A
problem.
garbage can.
So again, I ain't trying to be thrown away, but I got to get it off me.
Right.
But
You gotta
again,
get it off me, right?
it's our conversation.
Right.
So I get it, and that's what I like about it. That's what I like
the,
about it.
the reality is that people aren't healing,
It is.
right?
It's sad.
So we got a lot of broken people still believe in love. We have a lot of broken people still trying to get life done. We have a lot of broken people who, they want friendships, they want companionships, they want social media, but they don't know how to treat people. They
They're
don't know how to
afraid.
take care of it.
They're afraid.
Yeah. But perhaps they're afraid. You can't produce what you've never seen unless you study, right? And so now you got people who are trying to have healthy relationships and they've never seen a healthy relationship,
Right.
right? And there's a few of them who have a relationship with God and they bypass the nonsense with the presence of God. But most people are still trying to get it done in ignorance. They don't know what they don't know, and they're running into brick walls, and it's killing your relationships. This thing you have, this fault you exist. And in fact, whatever it is that you're experiencing, you probably experienced it over and over and over and over again. People have probably been trying to tell you, this is you, and you ain't believing it, but yet your relationships are falling out because of it. We see this all the time, right? Especially those of us who manage people, who develop people, and who raise kids and raise families.
Been married, been divorced,
Children,
people, yeah.
Have your mama over here.
What?
Exactly. So we see people who are not whole and complete, and it's very difficult to create a whole and complete life in such a state. And we pray for them. We give you all the graces and all the mercies, and we ask that the Lord come to you. But what we're not going to do is we're probably not going to stand in the gap for that nonsense ourselves. We're going to, keep you at arm's length, and and I'll say this kind of in closing, that if you recognize that there's something holding you back, I'm going to say it in general. If you recognize there's something in your behavior that's holding you back from good quality relationship, find some space to improve yourself. That's all I can say. Find some space to improve yourself. The boss that I was talking about, this guy, he'd been in the car business for 30 years. He's been managing like a tyrant for probably 20 of those 30 years. But 6 months ago, they sent him to a school and they said, you are disturbing your audience. You think you're managing because you got a great point and you got insight to these systems and the protocol and how to close the customer, but you're pissing your people off. You're upsetting customers. You don't even manage the damn process that you set into place.
With morale.
Right. So you coming down on people and they really want to come down on you. They just can't. So now your turnover is high. You costing the company money with your mouth, and you don't even realize it. And we've been telling you this for years. So here's the thing. You're going to go to this course, you're going to get fixed, or you're going to get out of here. And you can't quite do that in relationships, but I want everybody to understand that if there's something that's holding your relationships back, find a way to improve yourself. Maybe bite your tongue, maybe speak up a little bit more, maybe find a little patience, pray over patience, whatever those things may be. There's probably 100,000 of them. The point of this show, why can't we just all get along? The reason we can't get along is because we keep doing the same shit over and over, and we're not changing ourselves. And if I could change myself, then the Lord just might help me meet the right person so that I can move on to love and happiness and joy in my relationships. But the Lord's probably not going to introduce you to that person if you still got that stuff in here, right? Because he's not going to put old wine in the new wineskins. So now we got to heal. And healing is not easy. but it is possible.
Parent.
And I'll say it's possible only through the Lord.
And
And listen, you can listen and become wiser. But listen, this has been a fabulous dialogue. You agree?
I'm gonna tell you one thing.
It's not an easy dialogue.
In
It is
closing,
Yes.
I had a situation where somebody told me that they were arguing back and forth, and I said, well, maybe y'all just need to do some counseling. Okay?
I
Because
agree.
it takes
That is healthy.
some people, and a lot of time people don't want to look at it that way. And I said, yeah, I might need to do some counseling. And one of the things I always notice, I don't need it, they need it. Now, that's a red flag for me.
Right. That's a
Because
red
see,
flag
you
for
feel
me.
like you got it so together that person is when you ain't hearing yourself.
Right.
I said y'all because it's a group effort.
Right.
Relationship is an effort. When you just feel one person need to be fixed, half the time you don't see you. And that's why I said counseling, group counseling is good if it's a group session. Personal growth, that's a personal thing.
Right.
I'm not going to bring somebody into a counseling where I see I have my own issues. So let's evaluate and then make some decisions. I would just evaluate their argument. I was just a bystander here. I'm noticing issues on both ends. But I noticed one person felt like they was bigger than the other. They need to get it because of one factual thing that you feel that they got wrong. When your words was harsh
Right.
and diminishing, you tried to cut her all the way down. Come on now, we gotta look at the whole picture. But you want to look at it because you feel you so right. That's why I said throw that in there.
I want to throw
Yeah.
something to
Feel free.
consideration. So last thing for me is, and my takeaway is identifying your own self-value and your own self-issues. What do I contribute to it? And how can I be a positive energy more so than that negative takeaway? If I can't get my own self some help, then I can't help somebody else. So don't go into a relationship when you already know you dry, right? So if you were to get you some help, then you will not be looking at what is happening to me. Then you can get into that group setting and then be a lot more open because you're not coming in there with bags.
Right.
You're not biting at each other, right? So I say that in all respect to the relationship and to you gentlemen, because I feel like this is a great outlet for anybody to be able to be get some help.
Yeah. And that's what this show is about.
Yes,
right?
it is.
We want it to be inspiring. We want it to be nurturing to your spirit. We want it to be, what's the word I always use? Therapeutic. Right? Let me just measure where I am, versus what my reality versus what they're saying. And let's see how I can move a little bit. Let's see how I can change a little bit.
That's how I be shimmying. That's how I be shimmying.
Yeah, right.
That's how we
And
gotta
so
do it.
let's close out with that.
Yes, sir.
This has been Bar Talk with Jay.
Yes.
My name is Craftmatic. This is my boy Smooth Jay, and we have Miss Ursula in the building. And we want to thank you folks for being here with us tonight. It's been an awesome dialogue.
Yes.
My hope is that you can listen to this dialogue with your significant other or special someone.
Yes.
It may create some real avenues of healing,
Yes.
some real avenues of understanding about how we can better get along.
Yes.
And so we're here every Thursday from 7 to 8 Facebook Live. Please like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends and family, and continue to come back and listen to some of this great wisdom that we share every week. Never forget that we do this because we love you and we appreciate you.
Ain't no last calls here.
Bar Talk.